Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursday. It is April 6, 2023. Please note this event is being recorded. It's currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For those people on Zoom, if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please just put your questions and comments into the chat window. For those watching on Facebook, thank you for being with us today. Just put your questions into the comment field. We are monitoring both feeds. We'll be sure to get those questions answered for you throughout the day. Also, if you'd like to put in your contact information so you can reach out to other people who are on the call, connect with other people here. Here's a great way to network, and you can say you met them here on Effective Resume Thursday and you wanted to just connect with everybody to expand your connections. It's a great way to do it. So feel free to put that information into the Zoom chat window. We are going to have time to review one or two resumes today live at the end of this presentation. If you'd like to submit your resume, please do so via the chat window. So for those on Facebook, you can't do it, but if you're on Zoom, you're welcome to do so. Please delete your header information because this will be on YouTube and Facebook, and we, don't want to do that. So just be sure to send that, just when you click on file, then you pick the file where it is and send it to Jeff Morris host. That would be great. All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched a second website, careerusa.org, to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search. You may not know, it is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I always have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007. I'll tell you about our upcoming program that we have tomorrow morning at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. Remember, your resume, your LinkedIn profile isn't going to get you a job. All it does is it gets you a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. All right, well, our agenda today is we're going to talk about the ATS system. We're going to talk about the one-page bio. We're going to talk about a master resume and the key components of a resume. And then if anybody wants to submit their resume, we will take a look at that at the end of the session. So I always like to start out with a little bit of humor. The whole key is you want your resume to stand out. What's going to make your resume stand out? And we're going to talk about what will make it do that as we get going here. So first, before we get started, I just want to do some advice from an expert. We've got different people who've offered their suggestions. This is from Charlie Zinger. He's Vice President of Career Management Partners. And, he says you need to keep these three perspectives in mind. Number one, technology. Resumes need to be ATS compatible. There are over 300 ATS systems out there. You've got to make sure that your resume can be read by any of those different ATS systems that are out there. It's important that your resume match the job posting. Everybody here has done a lot of really great things, but if they don't ask for it in the job posting, you don't need to mention it. You want your resume, if they're asking for this, you want to be able to match and make it a fit so that it's easy for the ATS system to go, yes, that's the person we want to talk to. You need to keep attention to detail, word usage, verb tenses with no errors. Listen, a recruiter is getting, when it gets down to a recruiter overlooking these resumes, so whatever makes it through the ATS system, a recruiter looks at, they may have 50 or 100 resumes to go through. What are they trying to do? They're trying to get it down to no, maybe, or a yes pile. And they will do anything they can to kick you out into the no pile if they see an error, a wrong tense, a spelling mistake. You don't use the right kind of words. So very, very important. Be very, very careful, and double, triple, quadruple check your resume. And then style points, or style points, such as how to display multiple roles within one company. We're going to talk about how to do that the correct way here in our presentation. A couple more things that Charlie wants to, make sure that people know about for an ATS compatible requirements. Number one, Arial or Times Roman font. Don't mix the two. Always pick one font, use it all the way through. No fonts larger than 14 point and nothing smaller than 9 points. Nothing embedded, meaning no headers or footers. A lot of systems won't even see a header. You could have the perfect resume, and I've heard recruiters go and say, yeah, we got this resume and it was great, but we don't know who it's from because they must have put their information into a header and the ATS wiped it out. Bullets should only be round black bullets. No arrowheads, no starburst. All the ATS systems can read that round black bullet. Like you see here, these are white, not black. But every ATS system can do that. Other ATS systems cannot handle other widgets or other, wingdings. So be very, very careful. Your font color should only be black, nothing else but black. No excessive bolding, underlining, or italicize. Less is best. You do want to, you're probably going to bold the company name, you're going to bold the title, but everything else should not be. No icons, no pictures, no graphs. Okay. That's the kind of stuff that you can show them when you go into an interview. You can take a brag book with you. You can show them some graphs. You can show them some pictures. You don't put your picture on your resume. You put your picture on your one-page bio. All right, so let's talk about a one-page bio versus a resume. If you have a resume, and you send that out, you are screaming, help me, help. I'm unemployed. I'm looking for a job. What can you do to help me? A one-page bio is a lot less risky, and it's a great tool to send out if you're networking. A resume focuses primarily on your work history details. A bio focuses on major accomplishments you've had in your career. A resume is primarily a job search tool, where a bio is a multi-purpose tool. If you don't have a one-page bio, I highly consider it. Here are a couple different formats. Your picture is on your bio. You see a couple titles underneath there where the person's looking what they're looking for, a little bit of a background, a professional biography, just listing the companies and the dates you were there, listing education, your contact information, very important, and then listing, your personal achievements and successes, just some high-level things that people will go, okay, I think I have an understanding who this person is. Here's a different format, and this is horizontal instead of vertical. Sort of the same kind of thing, but the difference is here the person's added target functions, telling what kind of jobs they're looking for, which is okay. But the next section you have to be very careful about, target companies. If you're going to send this out to somebody, you better make sure their company is at the top of the list. Now, if you're just sending us out to friends and family, it's not a big deal. But if you're sending it out, to employers or to, looking for information or interviews, you want to make sure that company's on top. If you send this to somebody at Coca-Cola, they're going to say, well, I see you have Pepsi #1, but you don't even list Coca-Cola. Why do we want to talk to you? So you've got to be very careful about that. So personally, I wouldn't use target companies unless you're sending this to like friends and family or people that, you're just trying to help for them to have an understanding of what you're looking for. There's a great book on one-page bios called Be Sharp. Be sure to get the second edition, because the second edition, they really expanded the number of bios they have. And this book has over 30 different bio examples. It was written by Minna Brown and Paula Asanoff. Minna, this is her one-page bio. And you can see it's a lot more involved. There's color, there's columns, but she's using this more like an ad slick because she's an executive coach, a public speaker. She's an expert coach trainer. She trains professional coaches. So, this is more of an ad slick, but here's how involved or as plain as you saw the prior ones is what you can pick. All right, let's talk about a master resume for a second. I think everybody should have a master resume. If you don't, take the couple hours, spend those this afternoon, and come up with a master resume. A master resume is everything you've ever done since college. And the things that are in college, if they refer to your job, if they were internships or whatever, list those too. You want to list supervisors' names. You want all the exact dates, addresses, 8 or 10 bullet points underneath each one with all the successes and what did you do at each one of these jobs. Then when you see a job that you're interested in, you take that master resume and then you go through and you delete everything that's unimportant, everything that's not in the job description, and you just send those bits of information into the ATS system, because that way it'll show a match. And remember, this is all about matching. All right, some characteristics of a good resume. The goal of this is to make it easy for the ATS system and job screeners to determine that you're a good match. And we've talked about these things. There's really not a lot, it's pretty basic. Formatting, you want a nice, basic, easy format to read. Recruiters are used to looking at resumes chronologically, not functionally, okay? So when you send a weird, different kind of resume in, recruiters probably they won't get it. They'll just go on to the next thing because they're used to seeing things in a certain order. As far as the overall length, for the most part, 2 pages. If you're a recent graduate, you have less than 5 years experience, maybe it's only on 1 page. Could you go to 3 pages? Yes, if it's important, if there's things on there that relate to the job that you're applying to. Now, if you're applying for a government or a educational job, they want to see everything you've ever done. So they want that master resume. They want to see it all. You may, delete the supervisor's names and some of the stuff, but they want to see everything you've done. They want to see your progression. The third question that always comes up is, how many years should we put on a resume? What should we do? So I've got 3 options here. If you want to put down, you can put in the chat window or in the comment field, A, B, or C. A is show all of your experience. B is show only the most recent 10 to 15 years. And C is show the details about the most 10 to 15 years, and then have a section called prior relevant experience. So I'll give everybody a second to put A, B, or C into the chat window. And for those on Facebook, put it in the comment field, and we'll take a look here. All right, we've got C, C, and an A. Well, there's really no wrong answer. I'm going to tell you this. There's really no wrong here. Quite frankly, sometimes you do need to show all of your experience and what you're doing. Boo. Sometimes you do want to show all of your experience. Personally, I like C the best because I want to show the most recent 10 to 15 years plus a section called prior relevant experience. And the reason you want that section called prior relevant experience is because we're talking this is not a government or an education job, for a standard resume you're sending in. By showing prior relevant experience, all you list there is the name of the company and your job title. And what that allows you to do is, if you have a star story from one of those prior relevant jobs, you now have permission to talk about it. If you don't list those on your resume, I would not talk about them in an interview, because if you do, the recruiter's going to say, wait, where did you do this at? That's not even on your resume. I don't get, where did this happen at? So the prior relevant experience gives you the ability to be able to talk about those things. So personally, I like C, but A is okay. Sometimes you do need to put down A, but remember, stick to what's in the job description. If it's not in the job description for an when you're applying online, you don't want to talk about it. All right, fonts for your resume. These are the fonts I like: Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, Helvetica. As you mentioned earlier, he said 9, no less than 9 point, no bigger than 14. I think everything should sort of be between 10 and 12. to do that. The next four fonts here, I'm not a fan of Times New Roman, Garamond, and Cambria, because I don't like all the serifs. I think those fonts at the top, Arial, Calibri, Tacoma, and Helvetica, are very easy to read. They're very easy to see. They're easy on the eye. Times New Roman, the other ones with the little serifs, the little extra pieces on the T's and the N's and stuff, makes it a little bit harder to read. Don't pick any other fancy fonts, no wingdings, nothing else like that. Margins, you've got to have margins, 1-inch margins, top, bottom, sides. I looked at a resume a couple of weeks ago and had about 1/8 of an inch all the way around it. And there was no place for me to write notes. I was doing an interview for this candidate, and there was no place to write notes on their resume. So leave margin on there. White space is good. It's not a matter of, well, let me just keep shrinking down my font size until I get it to fit on 2 pages, or let me bake my margins all the way up so I can do stuff. You want to stick to what's in the job description. You can use bullets. You can bold, you can underline, you can use italics. I wouldn't use a lot of any of those, and we'll show you where we use it on our example. Do not use any text boxes, no headers, no footers, no templates, no shadows, no graphics. I know there are a lot of templates out there, resume templates that you can download and do, but when you do that, it may be fine to give to somebody, but it's not going to work for an ATS system, because there's a good chance that one section of the template will just get wiped out and won't even be read by the ATS system. How do you fill a gap? If you haven't worked for a year or two and you're not sure what to do, a couple of the things you can do is you can put down community leadership. If you did any consulting work, continuing education. I interviewed somebody of several weeks ago, and I said, "Oh, see, you didn't work for a year and a half." Well, yeah, it was right during the middle. It was right during the pandemic. But while that was happening, I got this certification, got this certification, got this certification, got this certification. So that showed me, by putting down continuing education, it showed me that they were still working on things and they were bettering themselves. And to me, that was very, very impressive. You can always add a few bullets to describe your work, such as consulting work you've done, volunteer work that you've done in a leadership role, any certificates that you've achieved. So here's an example of our sample resume, which I'll send out to everybody here shortly. Community leadership and consulting, 2019 to present, served as a panelist and a coach for the Dallas practice interview team to help job seekers with their interviewing skills. Provided consulting services to a local nonprofit on how to prepare and conduct job interviews and how to evaluate candidates. Now, that local nonprofit happened to be the church that she belonged to. Now, you may not want to mention that church because, if you're Baptist or evangelical or, Catholic or Jewish, whatever, but by listing just a local nonprofit organization, that makes it generic enough to show that you're just helping people out in the community. All right, so the key components of a resume that we want to talk about is there's going to be a header, there's going to be a summary statement, there's an optional key accomplishment area. We'll talk about that in more detail. There'll be a professional experience, which is where you list all the jobs that you've had. Prior relevant experience, it's optional, but I think it's, if you've been working for a while and you've got jobs, I think it's worth listing those companies there. Education, and then software skills. I've seen some people put software skills at the top of a resume. Unless you're like an electronic technician or something, Microsoft, PowerPoint, all those skills, that can go at the bottom. SAS, whatever, Salesforce, whatever kinds of things, all those kinds of things can go at the bottom of a resume. All right, so at the header, you want your name and use the name that you want to be called. Okay, my name is Jeffrey, but I go by Jeff. So on my resume, it says Jeff Morris because that's what I want people to call me. If you have an unusual sounding name, a hard to pronounce name, in parentheses, put the phonetic spelling. Help the person be able to guess how to properly pronounce your name. I mean, I'm sure there's recruiters out there that'll see a name and go, I don't know how to pronounce that. Okay, I'm just going to put that in the no pile, or I'll put it in the maybe pile, if I can't find a good one here. So make it easy for them. Put in parentheses the phonetic spelling. Put in your contact information, phone number, address. You only need your city, state, and zip. You do not need your street address. That's unimportant. Your email address and your LinkedIn address. You want your LinkedIn address because I want to be able to look you up on LinkedIn. I mean, as a recruiter, I'm going to look you up on LinkedIn before I call you up or before I have you in for an interview. All right. Your email address and your LinkedIn, if you notice here, are not in blue and they're not underlined. They're not hyperlinks. And you don't want to do that because some ATS systems cannot read hyperlinks. Some ATS systems get confused when they have a lowercase letter and it goes down into the line that's down below. So like if you had a Gmail account, that G hangs down below the main line into that underline. So it's always best to remove the hyperlink for both of those. You don't need to put a little phone icon. You don't have to put a little mail icon. If people don't know what the phone number is and what an email is, you don't want them calling you. You don't want them contacting you. It's unimportant. All right, the next section is the summary or profile statement. This is what you can do for the company, not what the company can do for you. You're not telling them that your objective is to find a job that gets me insurance and allows me some continuous growth to be able to promote myself through the next 10 years. You want to talk about what you've done that you can help them solve their problems. You're a problem solver. They have a problem. They need to hire somebody to do X, and you want to show them how you can do that. So if you're applying for a business analyst job, I would put down business analyst as your job title, okay? If it's a program manager job, put down program manager, if you've done those things in the past, okay? And then you want to talk about 3 lines maximum of what it is you can do to sort of draw them in. I always think the first word should be very an action verb because you want to show some excitement. So here the person said they're innovative business analyst, just show a little bit of excitement to get into the job. The next area is areas of expertise. I think 9 is your maximum. You don't need to, not 6, not 12, not 15, 9 points most. I don't really put a lot of software skills here. These are things you've done. And where do you get these from? You get these from the job description. So these are 2 areas that you need to modify for every application, and you take these words off the job description. Now, if I interview you and I see a section of area of expertise, I'm going to ask you, so what are your top 3 areas of expertise? You better not tell me user interface design, developing test plans, and customer-facing roles. I expect when I say, what are your top 3, that they're going to be the top 3 across the top or the top 3 on the left, okay? So either one, make sure that those are your top 3 if they were to ask you, what are your 3 best skills? All right, your key accomplishment areas. This is an optional section, and this is usually for sales and business development people. Now, this is nice to show because this sort of, shows a few achievements. The problem with this is, the problem I have with it is that if you don't have these same bullet points down with each of the jobs you've done, I want to know where you've done those jobs. I need to have some relevance to understand. So you achieved 120% of a $1.5 million sales goal. That's fine, but I need more detail here, okay? You identified new sales opportunities resulting in $250,000 in new business in 2017. Now, what if there's a multi-billion-dollar company? Your $250,000 is a drop in the bucket. Is that really, is that one sale? Could one sale have done $250,000, or was that 15 sales that got that amount? So I like to have more details. I like to have this. If you have this here, always add it into your job description. So here underneath your personal experience. So here we're talking about, these are the job descriptions. First thing is, it's got to be chronological. Recruiters are always looking for a chronological resume. Number 2, you've got to be sure to use parallel verbs. And what do I mean by that? Is that in your current job, the verbs should be current, analyze, ensure, ensure, serve. Now, the past jobs should all be in past tense: engaged, translated, reduced, facilitated, saved. Now, you'll see in that current job, they do have an achieved. They have a past tense one. That's okay, because this was a project they did last year or the year before. So by doing this, this is showing this is what I've done and this is what I'm doing. Okay. I also really, really like, a one-line description of the company. I think that is really, really great, because I may not know what your company does. There are over 61 million companies that I think there's 61 million, something like that when I last saw. There are lots of companies out there. I don't know them all. I'm amazed. I've been leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group meeting since 2007, and people will go and mention the name of a company. I've never heard of them. Oh, well, they used to be so-and-so, or, no, they're a new company. They just moved to town or whatever. So add a one-line description about who your company is, even if it's a Fortune 500 or a Fortune top 10 company. Just list top 10 financial firm or something. Just list something that sort of tells people what it is you do. One of the other things that I like to do, it's not on this example here, is I like to also put down who I report it to. So a Fortune 500 software development firm specializing in software for real estate industry, business analysts report it to, the vice president of analytics or whatever it is. All right. You've got to make sure that you limit, let's see here, there we go. Limit the number of bullets to a job. I think 5 or 6 maximum for a current job, 4 to 5 for the next job, 3 to 4, 2 to 3. The further down you go, the less bullet points you need. But you've got to make sure that the bullets focus on results. Okay, results sell. If your bullets read like a job description, that tells me what you were supposed to do. I need you to come solve my problems. I need to hire somebody to do something. If you can show me results that you've done those things, you have a better chance of me picking up the phone and calling you and having an interview. All right, as we said before, your professional experience, your bullets should limit to 5 to 6 bullet points per job, less as you go down. They've got to focus on results, okay? You've got to tell me, what the result was. Just like from a star story, when you tell a star story, you've got to be able to do it. Your bullets should not sound like a job description. I've talked about that. Make them, give me the results, because results sell. So one of the things I like to play this game is called the so what game, okay? If you read a bullet point, guided the next phase of brand evolution for a multimedia artist and managed film production and publishing, I would go and say, so what? That sounds like your job description. So when we say, so what, they answered and said, well, this increased business opportunities, which led to 10 new commissions for my client. Oh, well, let's throw some of that into your thing. So a better bullet point would say increased business opportunities, including 10 new commissions for my client based on developing a full social media and PR strategy. So what you've done now is you've given them the result. You told them what you had to do, and you've given them result. And if they're looking for somebody who can bring in new commissions, that's the key. All right, so what happens if you have multiple roles at one company? Okay, so what you want to do is you want to list the company name once at the very top or at the beginning of the section, and with the full list of dates, okay? And then you're going to place dates for each row in parentheses next to there. So one date on the right, justified right, for all the jobs that you've done. And then you're going to list dates for each row right next to the job title. Now, by doing this, it shows some longevity in a job. If you were to justify all of those dates, it could make you look like a job hopper, and they would not pick up that, oh, wait a second here, you worked for one company for 4 years and you got promoted. Okay, so that's how you handle multiple jobs at one role, at one company. What happens if a company has changed names? This is happening all the time. So there's a couple ways to do it. So you have 2 options. Number one, give the current name of the company followed by the old name, XYZ Corporation, XYZ Incorporated, formerly ABC Company, or give the name of the old company first with possible date of, and possibly if you want, you could add the date of M&A, ABC Company, which was acquired by XYZ in 2008. The example I like to use is I had a gentleman several years ago who worked for Campbell Soup. Well, it used to be Campbell Soup, and then it changed names once, and then it changed names a second time. I didn't know what these other names were. I never heard. I said, what is this company? Oh, what used to be called Campbell Soup. I said, well, that's the name you want to use because that's the most famous name. And then in parentheses, just put acquired by whatever the name of the new company is by, in 2014, whenever it was. So whatever the most famous name is that people would recognize, that's what you want to use. Education and software skills. You want to list your degrees, and you want to list any software skills can be modified based on the job requirements, okay? So if they have software skills listed, list them all because that's a great way for a keyword match. You're looking for these 5 skills. Here are the 5 skills that I have. Now, what if you work for something like, Salesforce, but you didn't use Salesforce, you used a different program? You can use that other program in parentheses, put similar to Salesforce. So that way you get the keyword match of Salesforce in your job, in your resume, along with the Salesforce in the job description, okay? Now, if you do not have a degree, write something like city, school, state, area of concentration, and the number of hours that you've accomplished. If you're expecting your degree to finish up in May of 2023, just expect a completion May 2023 or May 2024 or whatever it is. I dealt with a lot of that when I was down at I dealt with a lot of students at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and they weren't graduating for another 2 years. And I said, well, here's how you handle that on your resume, showing what kind of degree you're going to get, expected completion date of. Don't lie, tell the truth. Remember, there was that coach who got hired at Notre Dame. 2 weeks later, he got fired because they found out that he had lied on his resume, and Notre Dame couldn't keep him because he was lying. So tell the truth. All right, so let's take a look at a job description here. The job description is on the left-hand side. The resume is on the right-hand side. I like grabbing a yellow highlighter where you can sit there and you can highlight the stuff. If you want to use a different color, you're welcome to do so. But grab a highlighter and highlight the important things on the resume that you see on the left-hand side. Then take your resume, and we've condensed this resume down to 1 page to make it easy. Make sure, do you have those things on your resume? So let's take a look at a few things. So they're looking for a business analyst. So I put business analyst right there as a job title. I have it right there in my first summary statement telling them that I'm an innovative business analyst. We're going to talk about business requirements. I'm going to put that in my summary statement, make sure it's there. About improving processes, that I'll knock that out. That I deal with cross-functional teams. That I use Agile, Scrum, Visual Studios, listing those things in, if they're on the job description, you want to make sure that they show up on your resume if you've done them. Like I said, if you haven't used Visual Studio, but you've used a similar program, list the similar program in parentheses, put down similar to Visual Studios. Multiple sources, user manuals. User manuals popped up twice you put it twice on your resume. Business process flow charts, user interface design, listing all those things on there. So you got to remember, keywords are very, very important. This is what an ATS system is all about. They're trying to match what's on the resume to what's on the job description, and you want it to be as easy as you can to make it match. Remember, resumes are scanned, they're not read. The average recruiter will look at the resume for 7 to 10 seconds and go, yes, no, maybe. They then will go back through those yes, if they have enough yeses, then they'll maybe read them a little bit more detail before they send them off to the hiring manager. A resume will not get you a job, it only gets you a phone call. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're prepared for that phone call Practice your interviewing skills. Don't wait. One of the things you never know is, why did you call? Be sure to ask them, hey, thanks for calling. So what was it about my resume or my LinkedIn profile that made you reach out and call me? It could be something on the second page, some little word saying that, you did this back in, 2000, and that's what they're interested in. That's what they want to find out about. I had a friend who, at the bottom of his resume, the very last line of his resume, he put the statement, in search of the perfect hamburger. You would not believe, he said, I got so many phone calls. They didn't want to talk about the job. They wanted to talk about where they found the best hamburger they ever had. I mean, he said it was just amazing, but it struck up conversations. So it was just a way to do things out here. So let's see here. So nobody sent me a resume. So I'll stop sharing here for just a second. If people have any questions, you're welcome to unmute your mic. Put your questions, of those on Facebook, put them in the comment field. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. And I'm going to put some documents in the chat window for those who are on. Let's see here. Let's go up a couple of files here. Let me put some documents in here. Here's some action words. Here are, let's see here, sample resume. Here's one of the bios. So here's one of the bios. So if you're interested, I just put those samples in the chat window for those who are on Zoom. For those on Facebook, I'll give you a place you can go and find where you can go find a sample cover letter. Any questions from anybody? All right, well, we'll leave here. We'll get out of here a little bit sooner. Let me just share a few more slides. If you'd like a copy, for those who are on Facebook, if you'd like a copy of the sample cover letter, the one-page bio, the sample T cover letter, just send me an email to resume@careerdfw.org, resume@careerdfw.org. I will send you those documents. Please let me know you're looking for let me know you're looking for the resume documents, and I will get those to you. It may not be until Monday. I'm actually leaving town for a few days, but I will get them to you early next week if you need them. All right. Career FW and Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us. Tomorrow morning, the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, open forum. We'll talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. Whatever's going on in your job search, we want to hear from you. We'd like to know the good, the bad, questions you have, comments you'd like to get from other people. Everybody here is willing to offer their opinions. It's a great way to meet. We will only be meeting on Zoom or Facebook Live tomorrow. The church is closed tomorrow because of Good Friday. They only have services tomorrow night. They used to have a service at noon, so we used to be able to meet there, but this will be online only tomorrow. We'll be back to in-person meetings next Friday. Next Tuesday, for LinkedIn Tuesdays, Locke Alderson will be with us to talk about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting, strategies to get results. Next Wednesday, Interviewing Wednesday. This past Wednesday, we actually met in person. We had 2 in-person interviews. This Wednesday, we will do an online session. So if anybody would like to have an online interview that other people can watch, you're welcome to do that. Just send some information in. Just go to dallaspickering.com for all your information. If we're doing a practice interview, and I tend not to know until like a day or two before, if we're doing a real interview, it will be on Zoom only. If we don't have an interview scheduled, we will show one of the 13-part workshops, and we will play one of those sessions, and it will be on Facebook and Zoom. Next Thursday, second Thursday of the month, we're going to talk all about networking. We have a different speaker who shares their thoughts on networking. It's all about getting out and talking to people and meeting people. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW and Career USA YouTube channel, on the Career DFW Facebook page, Career USA YouTube channel, on the Career USA YouTube channel. Click on playlist. I have over 480 videos up there, but if you click on a playlist, every video I goes into one of 7 different playlists. And when you do that, click down at the very bottom where it says View Full Playlist. I'll become a list of all the different dates and topics and titles, and you can go pick whichever one you want to watch at your leisure. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. Just send an email to Career USA, +subscribe at groups.io. That's Career USA, +subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. Please remember, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We have no full or part-time employees. Everything that I've done over the last 14 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Have a great Thursday afternoon, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow morning. If not, we'll see you one day next week. Check, do I have a format for a bio? Yes, I will put both of those. I put one of them in the, one of them's in the window already. Let me put the other one in here. Let's see here. Where's the other bio? Here's the other bio. So now both of them are in the chat window. If you can't get them, just send me an email and I'll be sure to get those out to you.